economy from the brink of collapse to creating jobs again. Jobs you can raise a family on. Good jobs right here in the United States of America.
New jobs that are being created are disproportionately very low-income jobs. So I don't know how you're going to be raising a family on minimum wage type jobs or flipping hamburgers at McDonald's. What is implicit in all of this is that the economy has no recuperative powers of its own. That all the benefits, all whatever recovery there have been, has been due to Barack Obama.
It's like the scene of Genesis where he's breathing life into the clay.
Anyone who studied history knows that for the first 150 years of this country, the federal government did not intervene when the economy turned down. In all that time, the downturns all corrected themselves. One of the most classic examples was under Warren G. Harding. When his first year in office, he found the unemployment rate at 11.7%. He did absolutely nothing. And he did not spend more government money. He cut back government spending. The Federal Reserve had the interest rates up at 6 or 7%, not down at 1% where they are now. The next year, unemployment was at 6.7%. The year after that, it was 2.4%. So the economy has recuperative powers. I mean, employers have an incentive to hire people. Workers have an incentive to get jobs. Lenders have incentives to lend. They don't need somebody in Washington trying to micromanage all of this.
Your argument is not only weak form of the argument. We don't need Barack Obama to breathe life into the economy because it'll recover on its own sooner or later.
If Barack Obama stays out of the way.
That's what I'm saying. The strong form of the argument is Barack Obama's actually been holding it down.
No.
What Thomas Sowell was trying to explain here is something that it took me so long to understand because I didn't know the difference between a democracy and a constitutional republic. The U.S. is a constitutional republic, and they're both a republic is a form of democracy, but it's a democracy with limitations to help us preserve our freedom and our rights as individuals. A democracy could be dangerous, and John Adams would warn us about this all the time, which I didn't know this till very recently. But he would always say, there hasn't been a democracy that hasn't committed suicide. It always exhausts us, wastes itself, and murders itself because of its nature. Because when you have a mob of people trying to decide over what's gonna, be into law or what's gonna be allowed, and you have the majority, and the majority could just be 51%, which is technically half of the population, then the other half of the population gets screwed, and all the rights, everything gets stripped out of them. And that is unfair. That is injustice. No decision, new laws, nothing should infringe into the rights of the individual. This is what gives us our freedom to do and say and act as however we like. This is the difference between, having the type of government that we have versus being like in China, where you have zero rights, zero freedom. You're pretty much suffocated by this government that is like acting like your parents. You shouldn't be, the fact that we, as adults, we should feel free to do and be and do whatever we want. The government shouldn't be infringing in our rights and suffocating and breathing over our necks like they're our goddamn parents. I don't even think parents do that to begin with. So why should the government do that? And they are already doing it. So this is the thing. Democracy leads that way. Democracy always leads to communism. Why? Because the only sole purpose of democracy, or leaders who claim democracy, it's to gain absolute power. And there's always ways to do that, whether it is you convince people through, they vote out of passion, they vote out of, the status quo, what's popular, etc., etc. We are seeing it more than ever right now with social media and everything. And they start, ever since Obama, they start infringing in a lot of our rights, like our freedom of speech. Little by little, they started pushing things like canceling, censoring certain topics, certain categories as misinformation, kind of things that we would say in our social media that wouldn't allow us. And it kind of slowed down a little bit with Trump, but then Biden comes into office, boom, it speeds up. Look, everything what's going on. Look at how they have promoted gender ideologies, which is insane. 10 years ago, this would have been you would have not been ever believe that this was going to happen, that was going to be approved. It goes against science. But no, they are allowing these things. That you cannot say anything. You cannot criticize the Democratic Party. God forbid you can do that on social media. And that's why my videos don't get recommended. And yeah, just many things such as the for example, 86% or like 90% of the coverage on the Democratic Party is positive, and in the contrary, 85% of the coverage on Trump is negative on social media. So that just shows you they are infringing in our freedom. They are trying to manipulate us, which is the difference. So I can talk more about that in my channel and the YouTube, which I'm trying to do like longer form videos over there. It's new. But pretty much look into the difference between a democracy. Look, what is the dangers of a pure democracy? Look it up. ChatGPT, all these things. Google, YouTube has great videos as well. The difference between a pure democracy and a constitutional republic. Our Constitution protects us, protects the individual. You know, just because I'm a woman and I'm Mexican, I shouldn't be categorized into this collective, into this group, as I'm like, I must think the same as every woman, or I must think the same as every Mexican or every Mexican American or whatever. No, I do not. Please do not put me as a bunch. So just because they want this, therefore I want this. I don't even like the same. We don't even like the same music, for God's sakes. Like, I'm an individual. I should have rights of my own. I should be able to take consequences over my own actions and have the freedom to do and not do as I please. But that's not how the Democrats think. The Democrats want to put all of us into groups and then make us fight with each other. So that's how they divide and conquer. They always try to say, oh, Trump is the division, da, 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 da. That's not true. They are the ones that saying all these things, making people, putting this unfounded hatred against this one person like Trump, so that they can say, oh, you don't want Trump as a president, he's going to be horrible. It doesn't matter. Really, the candidate doesn't matter all that much. He can be an okay president. He could be a great president. It doesn't matter if the party behind him, it's a Democrat or Republic. So if the party behind him is a Democrat, we're screwed. We're screwed because he has to follow the principles of his party. And it's going to go along with how the Democrats operate. We need to support, go back to our roots. We need to support, always keep in office, no matter who the candidate is, but it needs to be a Republican candidate. So yes, there is a difference of opinions within the Republican Party. Some people are a little more flexible than others, whatever, it happens. But at the end of the day, people within a party sometimes can be perfect, just like in a church. There's hypocrites in churches. There's all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, we're trying. They follow the Constitution. The Constitution is here to protect us, because whatever mess they have over there, whether they take more money or less money or whatever the hell, at least they're Republican, which they know they have to follow the Constitution, and they know they can infringe on the rights of the individuals. So yeah, if within that party, there's going to be different candidates. And sometimes, like, some people are like, hey, I didn't want this candidate. I wanted the other candidate, right? But it's okay, right there, popular vote voted for that candidate. But it's a candidate within the Republican Party. We can't be like switching parties. We can just say like, oh, I really like the candidate from the Communist Party. Like, no, you shouldn't be voting for other parties. That is a straight threat to our Constitution, our rights, our foundation. What Obama would always say, I'm going to change this country from its foundation. He would always say that, and he did it. So you guys, people think like, oh, Obama did good with the economy, Those were temporary fixes. Temporary. The economy, the president needs to stay the fuck away from people, from our rights, from telling us what to do, from controlling us. He can't say, I'm going to make more jobs and I'm going to make more this and I'm going to... No, we as individuals, it's our responsibility to create more business, to create all this. The government just needs to create better infrastructure take less taxes. How about I'm going to cut all of you guys' taxes from 30% to 10% across the board, everyone, so the country, so everybody has more money and everybody has more initiative, more incentives, and the economy by itself will recover. People need to take responsibility over their actions. People need to start working to be able to get out of poverty, not expect the government to take care of that. What is this? Always these great philosophers and intellectuals always say, right? If you give a man a fish, you're going to feed a man for a day. But if you teach a man how to fish, you're going to feed a family forever. So this is what we need to realize. They are lying to us. Learn more about this.